So hang on. Hey Scott, how's it going?
Hey Kim, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, marvelous. Sun's shining. What about you?
It's hot as a motherfucker here. It's like over 34 degrees and even hotter it's a humid heat, right?
You all
So
right?
it's really disgusting.
Well, I'm a bit pissed off because if it keeps being sunny, I'm gonna have to cut the lawn.
I know that it makes me laugh because my buddy is in New Zealand and he has to cut the grass all year round. I'd be
Oh,
so
lovely.
mad. You got enough kids though that you should be getting them on it, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right. So I wanted to do this live today, and I thought you would actually be the perfect person to do this with because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
exactly.
something, yeah, it's
All right.
something controversial that recently just happened, and it's about Roe versus Wade, and it's in the States. And basically, what's happening, from my understanding, is that the Supreme Court just made a ruling that now each state can decide on their own if it's okay for a woman to have an abortion or not. This is a sensitive frickin' topic for some people, you know what I mean? So there could potentially be a trigger warning with this. But also, I just think it's important to have a conversation about it. And like, I don't even know your opinions on it, on abortion or things like that. But let's just start it off with, what are your thoughts about it?
Um. Well, on a whole, I'm not a fan of abortion.
Right.
Um, I I personally think that it's acceptable if there's like serious issues regarding that, or whether a woman's been abused or raped to be put in that situation. I kind of think them situations is where it's warranted, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Uh,
Yeah.
but on a whole, what is the ruling? As in, what is like, what's the time frame? Does it mean that
From
basically,
From
yeah,
what I
before,
understand, like, I've been actually doing a lot of research. I didn't have time to finish it all, but I was following, like what Parliament had previously in place. Then I'm trying to figure out, because like neither of us are American, right? And we're talking about an American thing. But my
yeah,
take on it is that the Supreme Court has made a ruling that now leaves it up to the individual states to determine whether or not it's a legal medical procedure or not. Um, and like it's hi, it's a very controversial subject, and I'm a big believer in like my body, my choice. Like, I have a serious freaking problem with the government trying to tell me that I have to put jabs into my body of stuff that I don't even know what it is. Or, if a woman finds herself in a situation that, what if it was rape? What if it was incest? What if it was, a lot of acts of sexual violence aren't reported right away? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but according to, from what I was reading, and I'm not done, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not anybody professional, I'm just a woman with an opinion that's trying to create a conversation about a serious subject. But from what I could understand, this is the research that I got so far. So what they were determining as a fetus and an embryo and all that kind of thing is the first recognizable movement of the fetus in utero starts between 16 to 18 weeks of pregnancy. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if it's
So
done within that time, they're saying that it's not a person per se. And as per the Constitution, it's not any person or persons is, a living being. And, being inside of the gestation period, you're not an actual living being yet, as per the Constitution, right? As claimed as what a person's is, right?
so basically, the ruling before was that well, basically, it's accept what it sounds like. It's acceptable to abort before 20 weeks. Then,
That's what I'm understanding. Now it's different in Canada, it's different in each state from what I understand. Um, but there was a case called Roe versus Wade, and this is what started the movement, and then it's been going on. I think her case was in either 1970 or 73.
Yeah,
Um, and she wanted to have this medical procedure done, and then from what I was reading, and I may have the details wrong, and if I do I apologize, because I was trying to do a little bit of research before this, but it's just what triggered me to have this conversation is I came across a live on Facebook last night, and there was
yeah.
two black guys on the panel, and they were calling women degenerates and all these other fucking horrible things. And just like, I understand people have strong opinions about things, but you don't know these people, you don't know their situations, you don't know if medically there's a reason why they're choosing not to have kids. It's not
Well, yeah,
just it's
because
not just because of irresponsibility.
all cases I probably would say need to be discussed on their individual merits. You know what I mean? Like, instead of
Yeah.
grouping it all into a big thing. But I know personally for me, I think after that 20 weeks, you know, when we've got a life growing, I
Yeah.
kind of do struggle with that. But I also,
on
as well,
on a
you
moral
know,
level, as a woman, and this is just my opinion, I agree with you. I
mm,
think once you feel something moving inside of you, it's a little bit. All I can say is this: is that I am glad that I have never had to have an abortion in my life. I
yeah,
felt so strongly about not wanting kids that I took the birth control pill until I was 35. And then when you're 35 in Canada and you smoke, your doctor won't keep you on the pill. So now it's called Depo-Provera, and you get a shot every 3 months, and it essentially it's foolproof. Like, you don't even go through your
well,
cycle
you
anymore.
know, and
You know what
all,
I
yeah, but
mean?
also in this whole situation, don't put some people have to take some onism over a situation instead of having a quick knee trembler up a wall. Maybe they should consider that maybe we should use contraception and not actually be put in that situation and actually have some onism over your own life and
I
responsibility.
I 100% agree with you, because like I just said, I felt so strongly about not wanting kids that I took every fucking precaution that I
Yes,
could to make sure that I wasn't in that situation. But there are times, when that may not be the case. Like, like an instance of a sexual assault, maybe with a young girl, or,
yeah, you know,
and even if people use condoms, they're not foolproof either, like,
and in that situation where you just said an abuse or a rape, it's a tragic situation. And that also, if that baby, you know, it goes full term and is delivered,
yeah.
you don't know the psychological damage on the person that it happened to, as in they could end up resenting that child.
Well, that's just it.
You know what I
You know,
mean?
I do know what you mean. And this is what I was thinking
Yeah,
when I was listening to these guys last night. And he's like, because the subject of a sexual assault did come up. And he's like, I'm taking that out of the equation, because, like, it's still murder. You're murdering a person, is what he was saying, because of a situation. And he's like, it's not the baby's fault, in other words. So it's like, but you're not looking at the psychological aspect of this either, you know what I
so
mean?
yeah, and the thing is, you know, I've seen all these people that are outraged for it, and then
Yeah.
people that are all for this. Well, I'm not going to have my opinion swayed by people that are outrageous and are being irrational and just
Right.
fucking shouting noise. You know,
Yes.
if they bring a logical argument to it, that's fine.
Exactly.
But if they're just going to shout and go, "You bastard, you're
Yeah.
destroying my rights, you're doing this," and
Yes.
all they're doing is screaming that as a
Yeah.
mouthpiece, they're not
And
actually,
that's what this was
yeah,
last night, and it inspired me to start researching, because and there's a reason why I wanted you specifically to be on this panel with me, is because you are the type of person that, even if we disagree, we can do it respectfully and logically and still maintain our friendship. So even if we're not on the same page about it, it's not like you're an asshole and you're a murderer, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
oh yeah, but I am an asshole, Kim.
well, I
I'll
know
take that. I'll take that label. Thank you.
but I still love you, is the point. But there's some people, like, what I was watching last night, and I mean, I feel like it was almost done intentionally for them to try and provoke a reaction. And I'm already on Facebook jail anyway, so I can't get into it there.
I think my biggest problem where it all starts is the fact that America chooses laws by states.
Right.
And to me, it's like America will never be a united country until they start passing the same laws in every state, good or bad, whatever. It's like in the United Kingdom, a law's passed, it's for the whole United Kingdom.
Yeah,
And
because
it's
you guys are under the EU, right? So it
no,
works
we're not.
different.
No, it's nothing to do with the EU.
Oh,
It's basically, America's a republic, isn't it? And and that's what that comes down to. But I just don't think this situation of different laws in different states works in a country, and I never have.
well,
So,
it's kind of the same way here in Canada. And let me give you an example, okay? The last 2 years, for instance, with the whole, lockdowns and stuff, not every province had the same fucking set of rules. Like
no,
we were like Ontario was the hardest hit. And that's
you
why
see,
everybody here is losing their damn mind over this shit.
and this state where it's happened, obviously, this state is very pro-life, aren't they?
Right.
Right. Well, if you opened this up, I think the only logical answer to this would be is if the whole argument is opened up to every state and it's put to the people as a referendum.
Well, it was already in the Constitution. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm still in the process of doing research, and this is something that I'd like to continue discussions on because, like, I just started to go down the rabbit hole. But I think I have a unique perspective
Yeah,
because
but
I'm a woman with no kids,
yeah, but
right?
I probably don't think one state making this decision is going to change a lot because it's just a state,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do believe that the discussion should be opened up to the people to vote on this decision. And then, if it votes either way, it doesn't matter because I'm afraid for democracy to work,
Well,
you have
you
to
just said the
allow
magic
it.
word that I was going to say, and I don't know what it's like there, but in Canada, they're taking our rights away one by one by one. And like, this is why I've been like screaming from the fucking rooftops for 2.5 years now because I disagree with it. And people are so, I don't know, they say ignorance is bliss, but like, I mean, they are taking our voices away. They are taking our rights away. They are taking, like, the Great Reset, like it's coming. Like, I mean, the writing's on the wall. It's already happening. They're crashing our economy. First, you create a pandemic, then you crash the economy, and then you rebuild it the way you want. It's all going according to plan,
Yeah, no, it was in the was it the Rothschild manifesto of
Yeah, yep,
how to change it all, and it was in, and it was like first we start with a pandemic.
yep.
These scenarios have already been mapped out on what to do.
Yeah, look
Uh,
at Klaus Schwab. You'll own nothing and be happy. The fuck I will, bud.
and you know, um, people might go, "Oh, you're Tim Pot conspiracy theorist," blah 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 blah. Well, I tell you what, all them conspiracies over the last few years, they've all come true.
That's right. And I will say this is that I have noticed a shift since, like, you guys know that we had the Freedom Convoy here, right? Like, everybody went to our nation's capital, Ottawa. It was freezing. It was like -40, the middle of fucking winter. We're standing on bridges, like cheering these truckers on that drove halfway across the country to go and meet with our prime minister. And you know what he did? He fucking hid like a little girl.
Yeah.
That's what he did. That's
Well,
what our leader's solution is to a problem.
that Trudeau guy you've got's a fucking head case.
I know. I gotta watch what I say though because I've already lost a couple channels, and the last channel I lost, I didn't even have any strikes or anything. They just straight up removed my channel, and that was because I was showing evidence of what happened during my time in Ottawa, and it wasn't
Yeah.
favorable for the government or the police, and that's why they took it down and basically called me a threat.
Yeah. No, you basically, this is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a scary concept where the world has become, you must trust the government. The government is your only source of real information. That's not how it works.
Yeah. No, it's actually the opposite.
It's
And
like in New Zealand,
mhm.
right?
Yep.
The government in power, the Labour government, have paid for, like, we've got TVNZ, TV1, stuff, and News Hub or something. These are four reporter, like international news things in New Zealand.
Mainstream media, yeah.
She has paid them 55 million,
Yep.
and she said, "You are the only people that are allowed to ask me questions,
Yep.
and they're all preempted questions. I know what you're going to ask me, and
Yep.
if anybody else that is not one of them four tries to ask a question, she says you're not part of the credited media."
Yes. Okay. That's
Okay.
hilarious that happens there too. Because
Yeah.
our
So
mainstream
basically,
media had a
So,
$600 million buyout from the government, and they own the rights to everything, like you just said. It's the same thing happening here, and it's all funded by the government, and
yeah.
it's to push their agenda.
So basically, the biggest problem in the world right now is the media.
Absolutely, they're the virus. We all
Yeah,
agree.
they are the virus,
Yeah.
and it's very scary that we're basically not allowed to question,
Nope.
a
Or you're a
government.
criminal if you do.
And so many people have said it's 1984, like it, but the fact is, it is.
Yeah. Well,
You
I'll
know,
tell you this. There was a woman, and they've scrubbed the internet, but we've all got it archived. There was a woman that got trampled. They brought in the RCMPs on fucking horses, and she was a disabled woman, native woman, and she got trampled by a police officer intentionally. Two people
what's
got injured.
what's RCMPs?
Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which means they ride horses. Big deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But they're like, say, like the FBI in the US. I don't know what it would be over in New Zealand, but like they're higher than the regular city cops, right?
No, we don't have horse cops here.
Yeah, we shouldn't either here because the world's seen. Though, and this is the thing, is the world did see. What started off as a freedom convoy because we were sick of being in lockdown, we were sick of having our rights being taken away, not being heard, but that was what it started out as. But then it opened the world's eyes because they seen how the media was reporting, and everybody and their mother has a cell phone. Like, people are live streaming everything that's happening. The media pretended like we were like terrorists and out to hurt people. It was none of that. We were dancing in the streets in -40 weather because we hadn't seen people in public like that for 2 years. We were happy. We were drinking. It was a street party. Like, they had bands and speeches and, but the media made it seem like, people were under attack.
And then if you look on like Twitter, you'll see people with different videos which are not on the mainstream media.
Because they take them off.
A completely different picture.
Yeah, because they take them off. And that's what happened to my last friend. I was recording everything, like everything that was happening, and I was putting it all on my YouTube channel, and they removed it and said it goes against community guidelines that basically, more or less, that I'm kind of a threat to society. Huh. And I was just like, dude, because I'm telling the truth? Like, what the fuck? I was there.
Well, it's like Adolf Hitler's main man, who was his propaganda man, Joseph Goebbels, would be proud of them because they're doing exactly what he did.
Yeah, well, we compare JT here to Castro.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have seen that silly rumor that he's his love child.
Me too. And I didn't, you know what's hilarious is, like, I actually just genuinely thought it was like a meme going around the internet. And I didn't realize, like, you have to really watch what I say here, because allegedly his mother was a lady of the streets and had a relationship with said person. But allegedly, I don't know, but this is what is out there.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it's not true.
I'm pretty sure it's not either, because
there's
just people are reaching for things now. I'm just sticking to facts, but I'm just saying that is one of the things that are floating around allegedly, about him. And I find it funny, but he's very similar to him in a lot of ways. Like, does he want to be like disembargoed from the rest of the world? Because, like, I just don't understand I do understand his thinking, because he's thinking the Great Reset.
Well, basically, he's a communist.
Well, fascist, but yeah, same thing.
Well, there's a thing called horseshoe political theory, right? And you've got fascism this size and communism this size, and the theory is that they are one of the same, and they both actually want the same outcome.
Sort of.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. So what they've started doing here is dropping the real estate. Like the recession's already beginning, you know, and all of these food plants in the US are magically catching on fire. There's been, I think the last reported number I seen was 27 different food facilities that have caught on
interesting.
fire, and now there's creating a food shortage, and inflation is at a record high. We're paying $2 and something, 205 a liter. I don't know what that is in gallons, but
Well, that the petrol crisis, it's like, oh, let's price it out. Everyone should buy an electric car by
that's what they're pushing.
2025.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what they're pushing here. So, what about when the hydro goes out?
they must think people are stupid.
Yeah, and I work in automotive, so trust me, I'm feeling the pinch.
Well,
And
I think that's the problem, though. The majority of people are stupid. It's like, do you know what creates electric? If it's not water, it's nuclear, fossil fuel. So it's not exactly green, is it?
no, it's not. And there was a situation in, I believe it was either Alberta or British Columbia, where one of the guys, his electric car had mechanical issues and it just shut right down in the middle of the road. He was trapped inside with the car catching on fire, and he had to kick out the window because there was
I
no
saw that
power to
video.
open the doors.
Yeah.
And luckily there's an emergency release latch under his door handle, but I wouldn't have thought to look there. Who knows to look there? You know what I mean? And then magically,
I did see the video. Yeah.
yeah, and then magically Tesla had this layoff of, what was it, 10% or something of their workforce, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
I doubt Elon Musk's bothered, though, is he?
No, he's paying too much attention to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Yeah.
And buying Twitter, so this is what they do, is they create distractions to look over here, you know what I mean? We know somebody else in our past that used to do the same thing. Look over here at this situation to your left while I do all this shady shit on my right, but you're not looking.
There was all the people going tits up about Elon Musk buying Twitter and all this and that. And then the last CEO, Jack Dorsey, if you ever saw him speaking to the committees in America, he denied every question they asked him and pretty much said, I'll have to get back to you on that one. And then,
that was like Zuckerberg. I swear that guy's a robot.
But the thing is, as soon as Jack Dorsey left Twitter, he came out and said, yep, it's biased, it's wrong. He said it, but when he was working and he was there, he didn't say it. So, yeah, I'm against all that hate speech and everything like that, but you've seriously got to have free speech. You can't just shut the other side's narrative down because you don't learn anything.
Oh, that's what they're doing here. We're criminals. We're the fringe minority, with what was it? We're the fringe minority of people with unrealistic views. I guess we showed him when thousands of us fled to Ottawa. And you know what? If it wasn't for that convoy, we'd still be walking around with frickin' masks on, okay?
Yeah, well, I think the thing is with all these parliaments and things and that is they fear the people, don't they? And they fear the people.
And then you know what they did is they did a run on the banks, okay? Because what was happening is people were donating to this fucking freedom convoy, and they froze their banks based on hearsay, okay? It's in Parliament right now. It's really fucking funny to watch them be so uncomfortable about it. But they froze people's bank accounts. So you know what the Canadians did? We are smart. I give us credit finally for standing up. We all fucking went to the bank and we drained our accounts, and it got to the point that the banks were running out of fucking money because everybody was running on them and closing their accounts, and they started to release some people's funds. But we've got guys locked up in jail for what happened on charges of mischief, and they've spent 120 days. One guy just got out on mischief, man. Like, there's drug dealers walking around with fucking ankle bracelets on. But this guy was in Ottawa fighting for our freedoms, everyone's freedoms, and he's in jail for mischief. Get the fuck out of here. It's because you don't like people standing up for you and not believing your narrative. Well, you know what? We're not robots. Like, we can have different opinions.
That they've got him arrested for mischief.
Yeah. There's one guy still in there. His name's Pat King. Freedom George just got out. But these guys are fucking unbelievable, man. Like, they're the heroes of Canada. They fucking started this well, they didn't start it. They were participants in it. They're freedom fighter guys, you know, like I'm all about the freedom and the social justice and all that stuff. And these guys were amazing. And, you know, it came at a time when everybody was just kind of like, you know, what's the point? There's no end in sight, you know, and we're just going to be stuck with these masks on and people divided and everything else. And they came together and they got the whole fucking nation together. Like, it's the first time I've seen it in my life. Like, I was crying in Ottawa because I was like, wow, I've never seen like Canadians actually stand up for ourselves like that. Like, but when push came to shove, it was like, no, man, we've had enough. And I'm telling you again, it's coming again. There is a guy named James Top. He is walking from Vancouver to Ottawa. That's 4,300 kilometers. That's like 9,000 miles.
And he got a car.
Through the fucking Rocky Mountains, man. And like, that's driving through them is no easy thing. I used to do it all the time. And he's walking to Ottawa and he's already got meetings with people in Parliament, and they're listening to him, and they are starting to drop the mandates. But it shouldn't get to the point where, you know, there's basically, they were calling it an occupation, you know, but we shouldn't have to fight for our fucking rights. Our human rights. Our basic human rights to be treated equally and as our own person. We are not all the same. And an umbrella doesn't fit everybody all of the time.
Well, yeah, and then that's back to the argument with the Wade thing, isn't it? People would say, you know, it's human rights for people to make their own choice.
It is, you know. What if there's medical conditions that the mother has that could be passed on to the child, whether it's physical or mental even? Or what if it's a toxic environment? What if she's living with an abusive husband who beats the crap out of her and she doesn't want to bring a baby into that? Or what if they just simply don't have the financial means to be able to support a baby? Like, I mean, it's not a one thing, you know, one umbrella fits everybody's situation.
So basically, the whole ruling, really, it all needs to be reevaluated again, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like we're going in the wrong direction. We're taking our rights and our human rights and our constitutions and everything that is supposed to be at the highest level of court and the law of the land. The
New
guy
Zealand doesn't have a constitution.
Yeah, the guy in Canada, the last living member who participated in writing the Human Charter of Rights, which is the highest law of the land, is suing the federal government for breaching his constitutional rights. And God bless him.
The whole world's gonna burn, innit?
I don't like where things are heading. I see what's happening, you know, and it scares me that people don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't save everybody. You try, but, you know.
No, you can't. But no, I don't know. I don't know. I can see, you know, people going mad about everything like that with a abortion thing. But I think I have to stand pretty neutral in it and go, like you say, different situations for everybody. So maybe the whole law needs scrapping and rewriting or something, or removing, or there just needs to be open debate to basically figure out an alternative to this. But then again, you're never going to please everybody, are you? You just can't.
You're not, you know. And I feel really strongly against, you know, a government body trying to tell me what I have to do with my body to have a job, to be able to go into a restaurant. If I need to have a medical fucking procedure done, who are they to tell me what is best for me?
Yeah.
So am I. I'm smoking one right now.
Yeah. So now I don't know. I do, but the thing is, you wake up every day and it's another new thing, isn't it? And another person's been cancelled, or
I'm not a fan of that cancel culture shit either.
No, I'm not. You know, I have to stay with that one, that you need to be realistic and realize that programs that were made that may be slightly misogynistic to modern times now were of the time when they were made, and you need to have a little bit of common sense about it. And it's just like,
I agree, but this authority, author, the dictator and all of these people, they are like totalitarians. Like it's just, one size fits all kind of mentality. And if
Yeah.
you go against the norm, you are criminalized. You have lost your fucking jobs. You're
And
ostracized by
it's
your friends and
basically,
family.
I think what it is, it's because now as the children, we seem to be breeding a generation of people that have never been told no. Like, put your
Yeah,
sweets down. You
yeah,
you can't have it your own way every time, and you can't just scream and shout, from the frigging hills just to try and put a point across, and people just give in because they can't be fucking stand listening to it anymore. But that's
yeah,
how it is.
yeah. But it can't be like that. Like, I mean, the world owes you nothing, millennials. You self-entitled little buggers that you are. They feel like someone in my age, like Gen X or whatever, and above, like baby boomers, they shouldn't even be in the workforce. And these guys think that they should walk in, and just be able to go to the top and make top dollar. And it's like, dude, I've earned 25 years of this. Like who are you to come in and tell me that I don't deserve a job because you're 20 years old and full of piss and vinegar, but no knowledge, you know?
Yeah. My dad always said to me about all them people that went to uni and that, and it's like, well, all they are is a dickhead with a degree.
Yeah. You know what? I'd take street smart over book smart any day of the week, okay? Seriously.
Yeah,
And I'm street smart. I am not book smart. And I made it to management and I made good money in my day. And then I realized, you know what? It's all for nothing. I go to work every day to take on other people's problems and fight for other people. And then it gets me nowhere. So,
yeah. Can you actually remember the last time you read a book?
no.
Do you own a book?
Um,
yeah,
Actually, I do remember the last time. It would be my union book, and I read that quite regular. Thank you, actually.
yeah. No, I can't even remember the last time I read a book. I've been getting loads of them PDF online books to read, but
Yeah,
after 5 minutes, they do my frigging eyes in.
I know. I read stuff a lot online, like, Wikipedia and different fucking things. Okay, well, tell me that you gotta go. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I got to go. Yeah, no, sorry I couldn't chat for a bit longer.
That's okay. I think I'm gonna just close up and have a couple things left to say, and then I'm gonna end it
Yeah,
here. But thanks for coming on, and it was good to talk to
no,
you.
that's all good. Now I've got a young one home today, and they're not too well, so I better go and focus my time there.
Okay, sounds good. Talk to you later. Love
All
you.
right, mate, love you, mate. Take care.
Okay, bye. Thanks for coming
Bye.
on. All right, so as you can see, I get sidetracked pretty easy. I have ADD, so blame it on my ADD, baby. Okay, so there was a couple other things that I just wanted to make a couple points about this discussion about the Roe versus Wade thing. So what inspired me to do this live was, like I said, I was watching a couple guys. I don't even know their freaking names, nor do I really even want to mention their names because it just draws attention to people to go and seek them out and stuff. But it was a very, I almost feel like it was kind of like a trick to bait people, uh, because I just can't believe that people would be that um like unaware socially. Everyone's absolutely entitled to their opinion about this situation. It is a controversial subject. I do respect others' opinions, even if they're not mine. Um, if you can debate fairly, you know what I'm saying? If you've got logical points. I don't want to hear name calling or, people being called a murderer. I'm sure a woman, if she's ever had to have a procedure of this nature done, it wasn't a decision that she made lightly, I'm sure. I'm sure it's something that probably haunts her mind every single day and makes her wonder if she did the right thing. And maybe for her at that time, it may have been. And everyone reacts differently to situations. And, there's a lot of things that come into play: age, maturity, people's medical conditions are a factor. Sometimes people's mentality are a factor. Some have impairments of that nature. and just can't process what's happening, and maybe it's a different thing there. But one of the things that they also discussed in this live that I was watching last night that pissed me off was, they were saying about adoption and stuff like that. Well, I wanted to have this live because I am a woman. I do not have any kids. I've never had to have this medical procedure done that I'm talking about right now, because I took the necessary precautions to make sure that I never had to put myself in this situation. And luckily for me, it never happened. But if it did, if something happened and I was forced to make that decision, I would have to factor in a lot of different things. And I don't judge another woman by her choice to make a decision, because either way, it's life changing. Whether you decide to have the baby or decide to terminate the pregnancy, it's still life changing either way, because it doesn't just end when you walk out the doors of the hospital for having a procedure like that done. I know women, I know how we think. We are all overthinkers. We all think about stuff. We hold stuff to the vest. You know what I'm saying? That I can guarantee you, if a woman ever had to have this procedure done, it's not something that she took on lightly, or has probably had her own struggles with throughout her life because of a decision that she made. That may have been a decision that might not have been hers to make if circumstances didn't warrant it. But also the subject of adoption. People are like, well, you should be giving it up for adoption. There's lots of people out there that can't have kids. Well, I'm also adopted. And I think it's a very unique perspective. I was adopted, like I'm in my 40s. I'm old. I'm a cougar. And back in those days, everything was like closed adoptions. Like you didn't know your family. You didn't like I had one page from the Children's Aid, basically giving just a brief synopsis of medical, um, and basically just, like the mother was 18, the father was 20, blah, blah, blah. Like it was very, very basic, generic information. And what kind of health issues would you have at 18 and 20? None, right? Like, I mean, your body doesn't start to break down until you start to get older. So, like, even the information that they thought was pertinent at the time, you know, didn't really help me. But the point of me bringing that up is, back in those days it was closed adoptions. Well, I guess they've learned over time that it's psychologically damaging, to the adoptee, I guess you could say, from what I'm hearing. Because a lot of times people, some in like before my time, I don't want to say who in my family, but somebody in my family, um, was adopted and never knew, and found out by accident, um, late in life. And I can't imagine like being in your 60s or whatever or older and finding that out, like what kind of shock that would be to the system. Um, I knew from the time I was old enough to understand. My parents sat me down and explained it to me. But there's psychological issues with that being adopted, and everyone takes things differently. It's hard to explain unless you've been there. But I guess for me, it was always a feeling of like, where do I belong? Where do I fit in? You look at your friends and you're like, well, like with their families and stuff, and you're like, well, they look like their mom and they act like their dad, and like you see the personality traits from their parents, and that was something that I never had. Like you know what I mean? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Why was I given up? Like I like feeling rejected and abandoned. And that has trickled on throughout my life into different aspects of it. But I didn't really realize it until someone actually pointed it out to me. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe that is the reason. I don't know. I'm not a freaking psychologist or whatever you call it. I'm just a person with a story. And but over time they've learned to do things openly, so I guess you can have communication with the the birth mother and the child. I don't know what that would even look like either, because that would be a situation that was different from my own experience. So unless I know things for facts, I don't discuss them. But I don't know. I just feel like, this ruling is a step in the wrong direction. I know I can speak for Canada and what we've gone through in the last couple of years and what they have done under, the legislation of a pandemic, which includes stripping of us of our basic human rights. So our constitution has not been upheld. And I'm not okay with that, because if you give up your freedom, they're going to keep taking, and they already are. And, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. And that's why I spent time in Ottawa. And, if you guys didn't hear about the Freedom Convoy, look that shit up. Like, that's another rabbit hole if you got some time and are interested in like social justice and, FTG and FTP. But, it'll open your eyes to the reality of what's happening in our world. And people should not arbitrarily be able to strip us of our human rights because it's not a cause that they believe in, or it's not a one size fits all scenario. That's what makes this world unique, is people who have different opinions about things and can discuss it maturely. And maybe you'll fucking learn something if you open your narrow little mind. Like, just think about that. Like, I'm not always right about anything. I'm absolutely always willing to listen to the other side. Maybe I'm wrong. Educate me. I'm willing to listen if you're willing to be intelligent and debate fairly. But, start calling me names and I can go gangster real quick, like 0 to 1 second, 0 to 80 in like 2 seconds. So, but you get what you give, right? So I'm talking about a sensitive subject that I'm being mindful and respectful of other people's views and opinions, but I'm also holding true to what I believe in. And I don't think any person should have the right to tell you what is best for you and your future and your well-being and your life. Like, I believe that should be left up to the individual, unless you've been deemed like insane and have to have like, and you're not capable of making your own medical decisions, in which case you would have a power of attorney, so somebody would be able to make those decisions for you that you trust. Keywords being that you trust. We know people on the federal side of things are not our friends, and they can't be trusted, and they've proven that. But there's going to be a lot of different discussions on this channel. It's new. I've lost my other channels because I'm not always careful with my words. So I have to try and catch myself. Sometimes I can go on a good roll. But I don't know. I think it's an important conversation that needs to be had. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Scott, for coming on the panel. I don't know if you're still listening or not. And I will be back to talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.